Welcome to Life and Living. Welcome to the press. In this broadcast, we're going to talk about not just pressing, but to press with a strategy and a plan to follow. Now, God, in his effort to redeem man after the fall, in Genesis chapter 3, he told the devil, the seed of the woman is going to bruise your head. And through the seed of the woman, God is going to get man back to dominion, to rulership and governance of the earth through the seed of the woman. But God, operating on a strategy, did not allow the devil to have any insight into the time frame that God was going to operate in exposing the seed of the woman to the earth. And from the generations all the way from Eden now down to John the Baptist, we saw the devil was always looking out for the seed of the woman. He can wage war. But God strategically took that away from the devil and just left him guessing. God also knew that if he was to come down to earth in his glory to salvage man, that now even man, the subject matter, may be afraid, may run away from God, and God has that understanding to come to man, well, in a way that man will understand and appreciate. So he decided to become a little boy deposited in the womb of a virgin woman and to be born in a city of Bethlehem. Now, Satan was still guessing. He couldn't figure out now what was God up to. Now, that's why we saw him killing and maiming children. Now, within that age group that he thought, well, this son of man cannot escape me. But God did. God strategically did play the devil out. And Jesus came to earth, lived his life, even to the death on the cross, where he fully paid for man's redemption. Now, how does this affect us? How does this apply to us? Well, God is encouraging us to get in the press. God is encouraging us to get some passion, to get some pressure into the press. Now He's also expecting us to evolve a strategy and put some plan in place in pressing. Now, this way, we'll get perhaps quicker results or maximum profit. Now, I want to illustrate this from the story of a little man. Luke chapter 19 and verses 1 to 10. We came across a man called Zacchaeus. Now, from Zacchaeus relating with Jesus, now bring 5 points for us to consider and perhaps apply to our press. Like we have said, Zacchaeus was a little man. He was short in stature, but he had a desire. He had an objective in coming to the press because we are told he wanted to see Jesus, but was limited on account of his height. So, Zacchaeus' height was his limitation, number one. Every one of us faces one form of limitation or the other. Some perhaps by the families into which they were born, it already creates a limitation. Some perhaps the tribe from which they evolved already constitutes a limitation. Some perhaps a level of education. Some perhaps the background into which they were born. They were born into poverty background, and that constituting a limitation to whatsoever they want to do. But we saw that Zacchaeus evolved a way to overcome his limitation of height. How did he go about it? Point number 2. He employed his mind. He figured it out. Now, Jesus was passing through Jericho, and he must follow a certain road passing through Jericho. Now, Zacchaeus thought it out. Let me quickly get ahead of the press, and perhaps I can find a tree upon which to climb, and from there be able to see this man, to see Jesus. So, number 2, we are saying Zacchaeus, to overcome his limitation, had to employ his mind. And I must remind us once again that the human mind is a wonderful machine. He figured it out. This is the way he will go. And we were told, point number 3, he ran. He ran to climb a tree. Well, by running, implying he moved his body, because for many of us, not willing to move our bodies, not willing to give it what it takes, separates us from the prize that we want to attain to. Zacchaeus ran. And, well, point number 4, there could be many trees lining that street in Jericho, tall, short, in between. But Zacchaeus, well, knowing fully well that he already was a short man, had to look out and for which of these trees he could climb on and achieve the same. And the Bible records that he found a sycamore tree. Sycamore trees, we are told, are also short trees. So Zacchaeus chose a leverage. Leverage, is a financial term. Call it help, call it assistance to join with what you have to achieve your objective. Zacchaeus sought a leverage on the sycamore tree. And there is still something I want to say about that. Why sycamore tree? Sycamore tree is the fight that Zacchaeus knows he was going to fight and win. You get what I'm saying? We must learn to choose appropriate fights. When fights that is way beyond us engages us, or we allow ourselves to be engaged in fights that are beyond us, we're likely going to end up defeated. We're likely going to end up discouraged. That's the point. And that's something we can learn from that also. What are we talking about in this broadcast? That we need to employ strategy. We need to put a plan in place. We saw Zacchaeus now demonstrating that he had a limitation. He thought about how he was going to overcome his limitation. He chose and looked out for appropriate help. You are going to need help in this life, I must say. You are going to need leverage. Look for the appropriate one. And we were told, well, he was able also to move his body, climb on top of a tree. And I want to believe that God was watching this little man, putting in all he has in order to achieve a set objective. He wanted to see Jesus. Well, the train of God stopped at the sycamore tree because, well, there's a man up there who has put in all the faculties God provided for him to be able to achieve a set objective. Now, my prayer for us is that we will not allow ourselves to be pulled back by the limitations of life, that God will help us to engage our mind's faculty as we allow our minds to be renewed by the Word of God, so we can be able to prefer solutions to the nagging problems of life. I'm also praying that, well, we'll be able to rise up. This is the 7th month, and if someone has not risen up from the dreams you wrote down in the pages of your book from the 1st month, it's getting late. Let's move the body. Let's rise to it. And my prayer for you, God will see what you have put in, and may His strength stop just where you are. May God's strength stop in your house. May God's strength stop at your business place, and wheresoever you are putting in some press, wheresoever you are putting a strategy in place, a plan in place to get the best out of life. Thank you for being with us on the broadcast. Until our next broadcast, we're still saying, keep up the press. God bless you.